Welcome back to Big Mouth. Yes, I believe Neil Gaiman was absolutely bang on for not casting the TV show's version of Lucifer, Tom Ellis, as Lucifer in his Netflix original Sandman show. Now, this is based on his very own graphic novels, his audio dramas as well. Sandman is one of the biggest things in DC graphic novels history. And I'm going to read this article from Screen Rant, but I will say from the very outset that I'm very disappointed with the TV show Lucifer. I think it had a great start in season 1 and it's lost its way ever since. It's bent its knees to the shipper. I thought season 2 was okay. I loved the idea of Chloe being, was created to be in Lucifer's path, and I thought that could have been very compelling and interesting. Ultimately, once we came onto Netflix and season 5, we've had this whole thing where they just waved all that thing away and they mentioned it but didn't do much with it. Hugely disappointing. Anyway, why Netflix The Sandman didn't cast Lucifer's Tom Ellis as the devil? Following the official cast announcement for The Sandman, Neil Gaiman reveals why Lucifer star Tom Ellis wasn't chosen to reprise the devilish role. By Screen Rant's John Atkinson, original creator Neil Gaiman has revealed why Netflix The Sandman adaptation won't feature Lucifer star Tom Ellis as Lucifer Morningstar, devised by Gaiman alongside artists Sam Keith and Mike Drinkenberg. The supernatural saga was first published in January 1989. Running for 75 issues, it ultimately concluded in March 1996. However, many of the characters and stories continued on in different indirect spin-off adventures. Having abandoned his devilish duties in hell for a new life on Earth, Lucifer was one such character, devised by Mike Carey. The fallen angel's own journey was explored between 2000 and 2006. Back before we had social distancing and we all hated each other, right? The good old days. That particular run spawned the Fox-turned-Netflix series of the same name, with the conclusion of Lucifer Season 5 Part 1 released in August 2020 and the 6th and final season already planned. The Sandman has similarly tried to make it to the screen on multiple occasions over the years, with efforts going all the way back to 1991. It looked for a time like it might finally come to fruition in 2013, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt set to produce, star and possibly direct it, seemed destined for the big screen. Unfortunately, by 2016, plans fell apart due to creative differences. In 2019, though, Netflix announced that they would produce the series. Filming officially began in October 2020, though the Sandman show full cast, including Gwendolyn Christie, was released only a few days ago. The casting announcements were met with much praise, though many remained curious why Christie and not Ellis would be embodying Lucifer. Now, before we get to the quote and a bit more what this journalist, this article's author has to say about this, one of the main factors he's actually using Gwendolyn Christie is because she's female. This is the way Neil Gaiman rolls, and I respect that. It's his baby. He can do what he wants and he can cast what he wants. First of all, she's a woman and she looks more like the Lucifer that he created in his graphic novels. But I actually applaud this casting, even though his motivating factor is because she's female. I can kind of move from that. But the point being here, that first of all, Ellis's Lucifer is great in the way his characterizations are brilliant, but he's not Gaiman's Lucifer. And he'd be cheating himself and the piece if he allowed a bit of popularity, a popular actor to play his Lucifer. So I think the casting is right, and I definitely think it's the right move. Posting to Gaiman's official Tumblr, one such fan opted to ask the acclaimed author directly about the choice, especially since Netflix produced both shows. The fan, going by the username Clever Cunning Ambition, good name, also asked whether the alternate casting meant the two shows would never connect. Soon after, Gaiman actually took the time to respond. Here's everything he had to say. The theology of the casting of Lucifer is a long way from Sandman's. It's inspired by Sandman, but you can't easily retrofit the Lucifer version to get back to Sandman. So he's talking about the TV show here. If you see what I mean, it seemed easier and more fun to have the Sandman version of Lucifer be, well, much closer to the Sandman version of Lucifer. And I agree with everything Neil had to say there. Lucifer adapted the core premise, which saw Lucifer move to Los Angeles and open a bar. However, from the outset, it followed a procedural form across the seasons. It has opened itself to more serialized elements and supernatural conflicts. These have included clashing with such biblical figures as Cain and even the villainous archangel Michael in Lucifer Season 5. With the ending of the recent episode, even God himself had shown up. Regardless, the procedural element has remained. And even though Lucifer has embraced a wider overarching mythology, it's one entirely devised by the showrunners. Similarly, Ellis has made the role completely his own, as I said earlier. As such, Gaiman is almost certainly right about the difficulties of making the two universes mesh. Yes, they're too different. And I suppose you could have an Earth 1 Lucifer and an Earth 2 Lucifer meet up. But apart from that, it's not going to happen. But seeing Ellis and Gwendolyn Christie on screen together would be absolutely fucking hilarious. And that could still happen, by the way, especially with this multiverse strategy now. We've already seen Tom Ellis's Lucifer version. One of the versions of Tom Ellis's Lucifer turn up on Crisis on Infinite Earths in Arrowverse, which was brilliant, a great surprise. And even better, we saw him meet up with a character that I forgot, because I forgot his name. This is a great DC character. I'm trying to remember his name now. Who's the one who vanquishes all the witches and the ghosts? What's it? I can't believe I forgot the character's name. You know who I mean. So it was great to see those characters meet up. Constantine, yes, I love the TV show Constantine. It was great. What a tragedy it was cancelled. And to see those two characters together was awesome. I got there in the end, didn't I? Ellis himself is unlikely to be disappointed. The popular actor recently got to reprise the role during the Arrowverse's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. When Ellis agreed to do so, it was with the insistence that it not retcon in any way contradict the events of Lucifer, the TV show. Now, this is interesting, because Tom Welling's appearance as Smallville's Clark Kent did retrofit and contradict how Smallville ended by having him as a retired from Superman Clark Kent, which makes me say that Crisis on Infinite Earths version of Smallville's Clark Kent isn't Smallville canon, and we'll leave it at that. As a result, it was conveyed to be an earlier incarnation of the devil from before he'd met Chloe Decker. Though the actor is open to such reprisals and crossovers, Ellis' main focus has remained his own show, given that he'd no doubt agree with Gaiman. Actors want to work at the end of the day. So he's not going to be over the moon about this, but after Lucifer, he should have a big career. He could absolutely be James Bond. He could be in Doctor Who and play the Doctor. He's got a big future in the industry anyway. On the other hand, there's equally no denying that for all Ellis's charm in the role, Christie is much closer in appearance to the comic book version. Plus, she's popular in her own right, following noteworthy turns in such as Game of Thrones and more. Christie would also be able to lend the same kind of elements to the role that Tilda Swinton popularly did with the Angel Gabriel in 2005's Constantine movie. And can you believe that Chris Chibnall turned down that wonderful actress to play a female version of Doctor Who? What a shame. Tilda Swinton's got great quality. Anyway, we go on. Many will likely remain disappointed at the missed crossover potential. Still, between Lucifer and the Sandman, there will at least be two uniquely interesting devils to enjoy in the coming months. I want to know what you think about this. Of course I do. And it would be great while this premiere is on live if you could comment and tell me what you think. Do you think that Tom Ellis's version of Lucifer should have been part of the Sandman universe? Or do you agree with me and Neil Gaiman that Gwendolyn Christie, first of all, is a wonderful actor and will give Neil's version of Lucifer an even better characterization? That's what I think. Now, there's no question about it. Tom Ellis is a brilliant Lucifer. I love his version and characterization of Lucifer. It's a shame I've fallen out of love with the TV show, but that's still the best thing about the show, his version of Lucifer. He's fantastic. But I do agree with Neil Gaiman that Gwen is the right person for this role. It's great casting, and I can't wait to see her as the character. So please comment down below, like, share and subscribe. and I'll be back later with even more videos. See you again soon.